We got some news to get into today. Interestingly enough, a lot of changes happening in WoW. Before 12.0.7 even comes out, lots of raid nerfs happening, class changes, and other things. So we got some news to get into. Let's just dive straight in here. Gearing up solo in Midnight Season 1 has probably been the best it's ever been. For the solo Andys out there, the Gregs of accounting, and everybody else who plays this game without any friends, or touching grass for that matter, this has probably been the best expansion you've ever played. Looking at the way you can gear out right now, I mean, we're talking about the Prey system with its nightmare level difficulty, awarding 246 champion gear. Completing tier 8 delves, giving you 250 level champion gear. Completing tier 8 delves with the Trover's Bounty, also rewarding 259 heroic gear. And then reaching rank 9 on delves. Tier 11 bountiful delves start to give you 259 or have a chance of giving you 259 heroic gear. Endgame gear. Crafted items. We're talking about 272 item level from solo, just solo grinding, getting those sparks of radiance and hero crests. And then the occasional weekly quest, also rewarding you with caches that can give you more heroic track items. Not to mention filling out your vault by doing these things. We're talking Nightmare Prey, tier 8 delves, giving you 259 gear from your vault. And then the crazy thing now, the ritual sites. I mean, we were just talking about them as I first went live here. Ritual sites are, I don't know, chef's kiss to the game in terms of solo play. 269, 4 of 6 heroic gear from your vault from these things. Not to mention, like, if you're really a solo player, you can get them done, but even people who don't do solo content, doing ritual sites and group content, super easy to pump through. And like I said, 269 from your vault. I mean, that's some, even if you go higher than that, right? You're just filling out your vault with all kinds of myth track gear. Filling out another 269 slot as a backup, hey, that never hurts really. And 269, I mean, adding 69 on anything is always good. Hero crests obviously out the wazoo from a lot of this shit too. So yeah, right now I would say Midnight, probably the best solo player expansion we've ever seen. Speaking about Midnight and the class changes and everything else going on right now, we got class changes and raid changes going into effect with today's reset. If you're watching this on YouTube, the reset's probably already happened, but a lot of things went into effect. One last second change was Blizzard buffing Outlaw Rogue. Was supposed to be a 5% buff to all damage. They changed it to a 9% buff last night. So Outlaw Rogue getting a bit more of a buff. A bunch more class changes happening as well. I went through all the patch notes yesterday on those. There's actually a ton of stuff. And then raid and dungeon changes. So Midnight Falls, we're seeing a Midnight Crystal health reduction by 5% on Mythic difficulty. And then a bunch of other changes when it comes to group sizes. So Midnight's Crystal health reduced by 20% for smaller groups. Cosmic Fracture cast time increased by 14%, increased to 14 seconds, was 12 seconds. Eclipse damage reduced by 20% for smaller groups. Star Splinter cast frequency reduced by reduced to 1.3 seconds on heroic difficulty. It was a 1 second cast time, so that's a little bit better. And then Overkill damage reduced by 20%. So they're nerfing raids. Those nerfs to raid continue here, as we saw with Lura, the Mythic difficulty change, and then also we're seeing Crown of the Cosmos and March on Quel'Danas with Beleren changes as well. So let's talk about those a little bit here. For Illyria, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but 5% reduced Mythic difficulty health, so she's going to be a little bit less healthy, a little bit easier to kill. We see a bunch of changes to her abilities here, Berserker time increase, things like that. Demi Armorium and Viralis health, stage 1 reduced by 10% in Mythic difficulties. Rift Simulacrum health reduced by 10%. That's the ad that comes out there in Mythic difficulties. A bunch of other things, reductions in health across the board basically for this fight. Voidstalker Sting targets, 10% fewer players in stage 3 than it used to. And then as I said before, March on Quel'Danas, Beleren. Rebirth is now a 40-second cast time on all difficulties, was 30 seconds, so you got a bit more time to react to that, and then reduce the knockback on the Light and Void Edict on all difficulties. So these are not just Mythic difficulty changes, we're seeing basically nerfs across the board to a lot of these raid bosses, as you know typically happens. Blizzard kind of opening up the floodgates here and letting people finish clearing out these raids and really getting AOTC. Speaking of raiding, we know rating's changing a bit going forward. 12.0.7, we are seeing our first ever Myth Flex raid, right? 15 to 25 players. I think this is a great thing. It's a first step in the right direction, maybe. I do think we need to unlock Mythic rating. I think that's the real way that you make Mythic rating more accessible to the player base. I don't think Mythic rating should ever be easy. right? It's Mythic raiding. It's the true end game of World of Warcraft, the hardest version of raiding that exists. But I think unlocking Mythic raiding, removing the lockout, will allow people to pug this shit more often, right? It'll allow experienced players who do this shit with their guilds be more willing to, hey, join a pug and teach them how to do this shit. And then people in general will be more willing to join pugs early in the week, not worrying about, oh, what if this pug sucks, or you wipe one time and the group falls apart because nobody wants to save get a lockout saved on this. So to me, that's the real end game when it comes to Mythic raiding, is removing the lockout. That'll make this shit really accessible. But hey, 15 to 25, man, a good start. This stuff's going to be tested. And that's the reason for this blue post here. Blizzard will be running a 1-hour test on Sporefall on public test realms from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Thursday, May 14th. So they're testing out Mythic Flex for the first time. We'll see how those tests go and what the results end up looking like. Also, 12.0.7, bringing a lot of changes to UI. Blizzard just dropped this one not too long ago. Getting the personal resource display customizations. This is great. Being able to customize your health bar more, your resources more, being able to hide certain resources. We're talking about combo points, soul shards, changing the size, the width, the gaps, the spaces, the colors. A lot of stuff that was available previously in add-ons. This is great stuff. Blizzard continues to iterate on their own UI. We love to see it. As I said before, somebody who plays without add-ons right now, I'm add-on free. Kicked the habit a long time ago. And playing with this shit in the game, these changes have been welcome, for sure. More changes definitely still needed to actually compete with add-ons on a realistic level. But for now, I think every change they put into the game is definitely a win. Now, moving on to more interesting 12.0.7 stuff, guys. We have Datamined N'Zathian mounts. That's right, and Azshara armor. So this stuff's really weird here. I'm going to tell you guys, does this mean N'Zath and Azshara are coming back? Let's take this with a grain of salt, because we've been tricked by this before, and the reason I say that is because these fucking Chinese servers getting all the cool shit. But let's look at these real quick first off. We have two new, obviously, N'Zathian expired mounts here. The Zothwing Darkseeker, and the other Zothwing Deepseeker here. So we got the Darkseeker and the Deepseeker. Two variations, two colorways of these really cool looking mounts. Definitely N'Zathian inspired. You got the tentacles, you got the hentai feel for sure. As you sit on this mount, you might be sitting on some tentacles for all I know. A bunch of eyeballs, obviously. Yeah, very N'Zathian inspired. No clue on how we're going to get these things, but definitely some cool looking stuff. Could be some WoW store shit we'll see with this other thing here, the Azshara themed ensemble sets. So we got some Azshara themed ensemble sets. They are called the Azshara Dark Scale Remnant and the Azshara Deep Scale Remnant. So these things are pretty cool. As I said before, like, how are we going to get them? What does it mean? First of all, does it mean we're going to get Azshara in them back? Iron Grim, thank you for the sub, man. Thank you for priming here. I appreciate that. Death Knight of our Scourge. Looking at these, does it mean they could be coming back? I still think it's weird that we haven't heard from Azshara yet with the uniting of the elves and everything going on in Midnight. How do you unite all the elves and not talk about a whole race or a whole group of elves that still exist out there? That's right, the Naga. Now, we have been seeing the Naga once again in the ritual sites, so we're getting a little flavor of them once again in the game, but I don't know if we're going to get more right now. Now, Azshara, I do think, is eventually going to make a reappearance at some point here, as I do think N'Zath will as well. Is it time for them? I'm not sure. Let's see right now. The sources for these both are marked for in-game shop items. That's a tough one. These could be definitely part of a bundle, as I mentioned earlier, but sometimes these in-game shop items also do show up later on. Now, the one thing that we do worry about is, yeah, marked for the shop could also mean they're going to China, just like all the other cool shit we've seen. Recently, I thought we were going to see more Castle Nathria-themed gear because we were going to, hey, maybe we're getting some return of some of that shit. No, it ended up all going to China. So, yeah, the Chinese servers have been getting a lot of love lately, and we haven't been on the NA and European side, but maybe these show up. If they do show up on the WoW store, yeah, maybe we get another colorway of these in the in-game shop, or the in-game, what's it called, trading post or something like that. We'll see, but definitely cool mounts, cool looking stuff. More cool looking stuff here. These, not exactly sure how we're going to get these, but definitely some cool looking totems and stuff coming in 12.0.7. The back totems, always cool. Some of these may be marked for the new... or not new, but the Midsummer Fire Festival, which happens every single year in the summer in WoW. Definitely cool looking stuff. We'll see if these end up showing up there. Iron Games, my pleasure. Sweaty Betty happens to be my mother. She loves your... Oh, man, thanks. Thank you so much. I feel that. I feel that. Thank you so much. And thank you, Sweaty, for bringing all your children here as well. Definitely going through the WoW news. Always a good time in the morning. So basically these totems, how they're going to end up showing up, what they're going to be for. Like I said, Summer Festival, probably some other things could be showing up in the trading post, but definitely back totems, always a welcomed little add in here. And then finally, Blizzard maybe testing Classic Plus. That's right. I don't get into a lot of Classic Plus news here. You know, I'm not a Classic Andy, but I can appreciate how big Classic Plus is going to be when it does finally come out. And it looks like Blizzard could be officially testing Classic Plus. You guys remember when all the Turtle WoW news came out and all the other private servers getting taken down? And I had said prophetically a long time ago that the day we know Classic Plus is coming will be the day that we see Blizzard start taking down these private servers en masse. That day has come. The private servers have all basically been obliterated off the face of the earth at this point. And it looks like Blizzard's starting to test the real concept of Classic Plus. As Zaryu on his stream recently was hinting at the fact that he was going to Blizzard to test a new product. That's right. So it looks like Blizzard, this wouldn't be the first time they've done this, inviting some creators out to Blizzard headquarters to test out whatever it is they're currently working on, which I would most assuredly think is a Classic Plus at this point. Probably getting that big announcement in BlizzCon. I would think BlizzCon is basically going to be the release of The Last Titan, you know, cinematic for that. That's what we're going to get. Yeah, shocking indeed. And then we're also going to get the Classic Plus announcement. The Classic Plus announcement, I'll be honest, guys, as somebody who loves retail and plays retail all the time, I think Classic Plus is going to be the bigger deal at this BlizzCon. It's just going to be huge, okay? Classic Plus, something people have been waiting for sure. China, as I said before, getting all the love. They have these Titan Reforged servers, which are basically already a live version of Classic Plus with new raids and all kinds of stuff going on in the Classic version of the game. So China's already playing Classic Plus. They're ahead of us on that. So Blizzard definitely already has the capability and the ability to make a Classic Plus version of the game. They just haven't released it yet. So we'll see what that all looks like going forward. Definitely excited for BlizzCon and everything. Excited for 12.0.7, all the changes it's bringing for sure. But for today, that is all in terms of news.